Next on Northwest Outdoors, take a shot at a 3D archery range with the Columbia Basin Archery Club. Then go goose hunting with Northwest Waterfowl in Umatilla, Oregon. Plus, go catfishing on the Yakima River with Marina's Magic Guide Service. Northwest Outdoors is next. Broadcast of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Trade Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Denver Trade Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout Washington State, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By New Holland Tractors of Yakima. With a full line of tractors to fill every need, New Holland Tractors have been supporting Central Washington farmers for over 55 years. And by Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest. Archery has been known to mankind for over 1 million years as a method of hunting. People have joined together in friendly archery games for over 5,000 years. Today, archery is a multi-million-dollar business and an Olympic sport. We begin today's show in Richland, Washington, where the Columbia Basin Archery Club is gathered for one of their 3 yearly tournaments.
3D archery is the fastest growing form of archery that there is right now. Probably 50% of the people that come out and shoot 3D tournaments are non-hunters. They're out here for the challenge and competition. A lot of our club members are non-hunters and probably never will be. We shoot at foam animal type targets to simulate hunting condition. We shoot at unmarked yardage. Shoot all styles of equipment: long bows, recurve bows, compound bows, sights, release, from primitive to state-of-the-art equipment. You'll need a quiver to hold your arrows. Some are equipped with pockets for your release. This is probably on the high-end technical side of the archery right now. This is a typical 3D type of setup. It's fast, accurate. It's equipped with a stabilizer for the recoil, a sight to aim off of, a peep sight to look through, and an arrow rest that holds your arrow. This bow is released with a caliper style release that hooks onto the string that you draw back with and release by releasing the trigger. Louis here is a traditional archer, and he's holding a long bow, a back-mounted quiver to carry his arrows. He's equipped with an arm guard to protect his forearm should he hit it with the string as he releases. And he releases this type of bow is released by drawing with your fingers and a glove. So there's all types of equipment a guy can get into this sport. This would be the start of the course, target number 1. What we have here is a bull elk, and the idea of this game or tournament is to try to execute the shot and the shot placement in the vital area of the animal where it's a marked kill area. You have to estimate the yardage to the animal. It's an unknown yardage and not something that's discussed at the shooting stake with your buddies. The idea is to be able to estimate the yardage and execute the shot.
really tough to get bank clearance.
Okay, the scoring system, like I explained earlier, is for a body hit above the legs generally would be considered a 5. This vital area here being an 8, and in the sweet spot here would be a 10.
Well, it's right here and then that.
Some of the things that we do to mix it up and have a little bit more fun is we'll add in novelty shots, and this particular one is where we have the archer sit down on this stump and shoot over this little bush at the coyote down there. The idea is to shoot that strutting turkey, and if you shoot the Jake in the back, he's minus 10 points. Nice setting. Trying to make a decision on which one I want to shoot.
The tournaments are laid out with 3 different courses, with up to 40 3D targets. There are 3 different classes: adult, youth, and kids.
It's a great family sport. We have a lot of women, like I mentioned, a lot of kids that come out to these. A lot of these tournaments that are held from clubs around the state are held up in the mountains. You get the tournament part of it, and the hiking, and the camping, and it's just a real enjoyable family sport. I encourage anybody that's interested to contact a local archery club or pro shop and get involved with your local archery club. Once you start, I don't think you'll be able to get enough of it.
Washington State sits in the middle of one of the largest migratory bird routes in the world. The Pacific Flyway is host to hundreds of thousands of Canadian geese, making their way from British Columbia to the fertile farming grounds of the Columbia River Basin. Some of the birds head further south, but some stay, giving areas like Patterson, Washington, front row seats to this wildlife spectacular. Near Patterson sits thousands of acres of rich farmland being fed by the Columbia River, giving wintering birds plenty to eat. Outdoor fans flock to this area to have a chance to take home a Canadian goose after a successful hunt. That's where hunting guides like Jeff Olwell and Ben Moore come in. They represent Northwest Waterfowl Hunting Club and have been successfully hunting and scouting this area for years. Located on 55,000 acres of prime farmland, the club leases the land from the middle of October to mid-January, exposing others to the Pacific Flyway's bountiful harvest. Northwest Outdoors caught up with these avid hunters to see what it takes to scout out and hunt these gems in the sky.
Hey Benny, Jeff. I'm out here at 434, nothing. There's a bunch trying to take, looks like a fresh seeded field out here. Maybe it's a green field anyway, but it's not our property. What do you got?
You should see the number of geese that I have pegged out here. If you get a chance, but why don't you get over here as quick as you can and check this out?
Yeah, well how many you got? 5 to 8,000. Sweet. Okay, I'm heading over. Where are you at now? You're
I'm at the cluster right by, let's see, I guess it would be right by 487.
Okay, I'm on my way.
Okay, I'll see you shortly.
Okay, see you in a little bit. Okay, good. That's Ben, and Ben's got some birds on the ground. So what we've been doing this morning is we split up to try and cover this very, very large piece of property, about 40,000 acres that we're trying to scout this morning for a goose hunt tomorrow. And the idea is we split up to try and cover a lot of ground, and we're going to find the birds that have come out of the refuge overnight, first thing this morning to feed. Ben's got him in a green field out there, and I'm going to go out there and take a look and see what he's got so we can prepare ourselves for tomorrow's hunt. So hey, what do you got?
Check it out. Look at them out there.
Wow, they're in the dirt.
Yeah, they're in the dirt. What happened is first thing this morning they lit over here to the left over in 505, which is a green field. And actually it took a while for them to hit that. They first wanted to go in 484, which is the one that they've been in for days, which is over to the right here, which is a cut cornfield.
484 was loaded up yesterday?
Yeah. At any rate, they circled and circled and circled 484. They wouldn't take it. More birds came out. By the hundreds they came out, and finally they ended up taking the green. And they were in the green for about, I'd say about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and then they all of a sudden bumped over into this dirt field, which has just been planted.
They milled around 484, and then they ended up taking the green.
Yeah, a couple of them ended up going into the green, and then the whole group just dumped in. Just by the hundreds, they kept dumping in. And then about half an hour later, they started sifting out, and then you know, about 10 or 20 of them, 30, 40 of them sifted out into this dirt field. And then the whole load got up, and they're now in this.
So now they're bumping in between the dirt and the 484.
Yeah. So they're now in this freshly planted, what looks like a dirt field. It's freshly planted. It just got seed in it.
Oh yeah, you know, we drove around it last weekend. We did have a bunch of seed on the road. So
Right.
They must be eating that fresh seed.
Right. At any rate, now they're sifting back into 484, which is the one that, as I said before, that they've been in the last couple days.
Never fails. We got all these geese, but we got a little decision to make, huh?
Right. Yeah.
Well, we need to eliminate one of these fields.
Right.
Are we going to eliminate the green and concentrate on the dirt and the corn?
That's my feeling. The fact that they've been they're in the corn right now. They're in the dirt right now. They just landed first thing in the morning in the green and bumped right out.
And they were only in there for a little while.
Right, only about a half an hour. And the fact that they've been sitting there now quite some time, and the fact that they've been in 484, the cornfield. I think that's. I think if we actually put our blinds out into the cornfield and maybe string some of the decoys into the planted field, the dirt field, shape.
But get them to commit to the corn.
Yeah.
The land that they hunt is made up of hundreds of crop circles, and pinpointing the right spot is crucial. The next morning brings a cold wind, making decoy placement a chess game decision. Nature's sunrise paints a nice good morning, bringing hope for a successful day.
Flagging is used to attract the birds from a long distance. We use a motion to make it look like geese are landing. Their wings are flapping. They do a real quick flap when they get ready to set down in the dirt. So we move it real quick, and then we lower it to the ground, and it simulates birds landing in the field. Basically just an attractant.
So anyway, those are a sequence of calls that we do here that most goose hunters actually use, and it's your basic call is your cluck, which goes like just a simple little chirp. And then there's your mating call, which is a double cluck, and it's kind of a sucking sound, a kind of blowing and sucking. And then your distress call, which is one that you use in the case of actually maybe possibly dropping a couple birds, and you oftentimes might be able to get them to come back. And the distress call goes like. So those are pretty much your three basic calls that we use here. The cluck is by far and away the most regular or common call that one would use that you're working birds as they're coming in. It's just a simple little cluck. Once in a while the mating call, and then a distress call when birds are coming down.
This wind is very, very difficult. The birds do not want to just commit to a field and land. They like to hang in the wind and take a good look at you, so that makes it difficult. If you're not really, really well hid and everything's just not right, they can see 10 times more in the wind than they would normally see because they're coming in at an angle and they normally would light in front of you and not give a chance to get over the top of you. But we got some coming in right now that are obviously paying a real good attention to the flag. This flag's really drawing these in here. Let's see if we can't get a couple of these in the pocket. We're going to just keep flagging them right up till the very end here. Well, Benny, I think that's it. We got our limit. It was kind of a scrappy hunt, but we got our birds.
It was a good one.
Trying to pick her up.
Considering that wind, it was a good one.
Yeah, that wind made it really tough. I don't think we could have done much different, really.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, well, what we did today was basically a U setup that we normally do. We had the wind at our back. We set our decoys in a basic U pattern, and our blinds were right up in here somewhere at the head of our U. What the idea is that we're trying to get the birds to come into this area, which we call the pocket. And this should be an area out here 20, 30 yards that we like to kill the birds in. Today what happened was the wind forced the birds to hang out farther than the pocket and take a good look at us. So most of the shots that we took today were 40, 50 yards right out past what we call the pocket out into this area.
In most cases, when you're working the wind, it makes it really tough for shooting geese. But we normally like to have it a little bit calmer than like today, and you can really draw them right into that pocket that Jeff was talking about. But when it's windy like this, they hang up in the air and they have a chance to look at the decoys, and it makes it a little more scrappy. The particular blind that we're using out here today is one that was designed by Final Approach, and it's kind of a modified version. It's a little quarter size of the existing ones that they have, but it's simply a little foot pit that's dug in the field, and then you have this slider that slides open. You're seated down in here with your head just sticking out of this hole, and it's a real successful or good way of hunting where you can have really excellent concealment. The majority of the hunts that we do here at Northwest Waterfowl we run in pit blinds, and we dig in our pits on the edge of the field, and they're a heck of a lot of work to dig in because we got to dig down about 4 or 5 feet deep, and it just takes a whole lot of work. But that's how we do the majority of our hunts on the edge of the field. The beauty of these blinds, though, is the fact that you can get out in the middle of the field and you have fabulous concealment. And you can get right out in the middle, and that's where the birds are working generally, is right out in the middle of those fields. So there's two ways of doing it. We have great success on the edge, but just for a little small fun hunt, this is a great way to work.
Okay, to sum up the importance of the scout, there was a saying that fits real well, and that is that I'd rather hunt in a field in the morning where there were geese the night before with no decoys than to hunt in a field where there were no geese the night before with 500 decoys. That is a good idea of how important it is to make sure that you're going to be hunting in a field where there were geese in that field the day before. That's the primary importance.
Next, we travel to the Yakima River for a little catfishing. An ideal spot to go for channel cats is near Pasco, Washington, where Marina's Magic Guide Service takes regular trips down the river in search of these fun-fighting fish. We join Northwest Outdoors fishing host Hobart Mans and guide Darren Mayer with a fish on.
Didn't take long slipping that bait back. Like the man said, we're going to find some kitty fish. Now these are supposed to be channel cats, is that right, Darren?
Fish on!
He's got the big one down there. I got a weenie fish. You just work on that big one. Darren.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Channel cats.
You got one there. These channel cat fight every bit as good as a steelhead does under the same condition. Jumping too.
That's all right. How are we going to net these fish with
Well, we'll just net two of them and then we'll untangle all that line.
You need a hand with that fish there?
I won't now that I shortened the leader here.
There he is. All right.
Put that down and we'll take that over for Darren. What we've got here, Darren, on this plier, you see that claw hook on it? If I can get that in that lower jaw, a little piece of leader here. Open wide. You got him?
Yep. Yakima River channel cat.
Perfect.
Yep.
Darren, you brought me up here on the Yakima distance from the towns of Pasco, Tri-Cities down here. How far up the river are we?
We're about 17 miles up. We're about a mile below Horn Rapids Dam. We can't see it from here, but we're just around the corner. We pull in here to my old catfish hole, and we're going to see if we can't get some of these to bite today.
Well, I'm not even going to wait for you to get in.
Well,
I'm going to get mine out now.
Well, you're all rigged up, ready to go, huh?
Yep.
Well,
while you're getting it in, I got some questions for you. What kind of water temperature are we looking at?
it's 60 degrees today. It's a little bit warmer than normal, but that's a pretty good temperature. The water's dropping. It was at flood stage last week, and we had logs and brush and everything else coming down the river. Usually right after it rises and it starts to drop is usually real good catfishing.
I noticed that I'm probably in the wrong place because the guys that know where they are go right to them on the first cast. So you pushed your gear down there quite a ways. I'm just going to kind of back bounce my way down and cover a little more ground.
I casted mine pretty close to the bank. Earlier in the year I'll fish more towards the mouth. From about mid-March till about mid-April, and that's where we get most of the bigger ones.
Do you find that your hook size has anything to do with what you're doing?
I kind of changed my hook. Okay, I'm getting a bite here. Here he is.
Getting a bite?
Yep. Fish on!
There it is. Fish on. And that one's got some tug to it.
Yeah, this is a pretty hefty pole.
See, I knew that the guy who knew where the fish were, he's going to cast right down there, get that first fish right in the middle of them. Boy. Now I'll just have to reel this in and see if I can be net tender here.
Well, you got them new pliers. Let's see how they can work on landing these fish. He's kind of doing what he wants to for a minute.
He's still doing what he wants to. I'll get him over here. Just open your mouth wide. Dr. Parker's painless program here. Whoa, big fella. How long do you figure that fish is, Darren?
He's about 18 inches, about 3 pounds.
3 pounds.
Yeah, real clean, good looking fish. He's got the spots like the channel cat, and that's what they are.
These river fish are really kind of nice and sleek. They don't get that big pot belly on them for a long time. They're working a little harder and stay in better shape.
Yeah. I fish a lot of shallow water. A lot of times I won't really fish water more than 9 feet deep. And the bigger ones will come out of the real shallow water. Especially at night, they'll start moving up on the flats to feed. A lot of people will associate catfish with the deep holes. And yeah, you can catch them out there and probably do pretty good, but I've tend to found in the shallower areas next to deep holes seem to be really good.
Darren, I need another chunk of bait. What are we using over there? Do you want to cut me a piece?
Yeah, we're using chubs right now. I caught these in the Yakima River the other day. I like to use them fresh. These have been freshly frozen. I like to use it fresh for the reason that it stays on the hook a lot better. And what I do is usually fillet it, and I usually take the skin off too.
So that piece of meat is going to milk out. It's going to have a lot more oil and debris coming out in the water for those cats to get attracted to.
I like to use about an inch square.
Yep.
About that big.
Put one of those on.
Yep, I like to use the hook exposed. The catfish don't mind if there's a little bit of hook there. They think it's just another bone. And chubs work good, sucker works really good, squawfish. Any type of cut bait works real good.
I've got an egg loop on mine here to help hold that bait to the hook. Kind of cinches it up and holds it.
Yep.
Now the hook's exposed and all that good stuff is right out there where the fish can get it.
That looks perfect. I have this one. This one has I got a slider weight on it with a little bit of a drop line.
Yeah.
So when they go ahead and they take the bite, they won't feel that weight.
Oh, that slider rig really works well.
And
anyway.
And when there's a lot of debris and grass coming down the river, the slider catches a lot of the grass and it stays off your bait.
Yeah, it would do that.
So that's another reason I like to use it.
You're using a treble hook opposed to my single hook.
Right, I'm using a treble hook with the snap swivel, and I'll show you how I'm putting these on if I can. And then I just slide the bait right through the middle of the treble hook.
Yeah. Put on like a little pie and snap
and
it
the
back in
catfish,
place.
you think they'd care about the swivel and that hook? It doesn't matter to them.
When they want to eat, they really want to eat.
Yep.
They're not timid about it. If you find an aggressive cat, he's going to take it.
Yep.
Now, you've been doing this, as we talked about earlier, for a number of years, and but you're the only one around who's doing catfish. Do you find that you got people coming up saying, nobody's doing this, you're onto something?
The fishing's consistent usually. You know, you're going to catch fish. And a lot of the stuff with the salmon and steelhead, I'm not sure where that's going. And you know, people are going to be turned into catfish and walleye and other types of fish.
These catfish are very good eating. Taken care of properly, they're an excellent white-meated fish that are great on the table.
Go online with Northwest Outdoors. Click on www.northwestoutdoors.org. Find out more about today's show, episode 1202, Take a Shot.
What I like the best about archery is shooting targets.
And how long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it for 4 years.
We might take a couple of these and throw them on the barbecue with our marinade, but I think the majority of these lessers will just cut them up and breast them out and make our old sausage mix.
There's so many fishable spots on this river, it'd be impossible to fish them all and learn every little hole and nook.
Broadcast of Northwest Outdoors is made possible in part by O'Loughlin Trade Shows. Puyallup, Portland, and the Denver Trade Shows are proud supporters of public television throughout Washington State, placing an emphasis on education for the great outdoors. By New Holland Tractors of Yakima. With a full line of tractors to fill every need, New Holland Tractors have been supporting Central Washington farmers for over 55 years. And by Kershaw Knives of Portland, Oregon. Makers of precision tools and cutlery, Kershaw Knives continues to support outdoor programming and outdoor activities throughout the Pacific Northwest.